I just want to double check to make sure we're live. So if you have...
You doing okay, Scott?
It's a little hot down here. I set up the studio lights because it's like, it's a dungeon down here and I'm just boiling. So. Cool.
Pretty soon, Live with Damsel is gonna have Scott shirtless.
Just like
we're gonna save that for the next show.
You should just have a Snood on.
Yeah, nothing but your Snood stuff.
Yeah.
The Snood.
Oh, speaking of, I do have a winter Snood.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I sent that.
So I do have the one. Yep.
Yeah, you're hoping probably to not have to pull that out.
Yes.
Marshall's
and he's like holding it like this.
You know, honestly, I never used to think you were fly fishing unless it was 70 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Really did.
Well, yeah, because you're a tarpon guide.
Saltwater, yeah.
Saltwater. Sorry, I didn't mean to just pigeonhole you like that.
65 degrees is like death, right?
Yeah.
I'm starting to be more like that, so.
Yeah. The older the better, right?
Yeah. I killed myself winter fishing, not last year, but the year before. And then I'm like, that was actually, I had zero fun because I had to, for 20 minutes of fishing, I had to sit in my truck for a half hour before I could feel my fingers. And I was like, no, over it.
Yeah, and I think, don't you feel like you collect enough guiding days that you have to sit out there in absolutely horrendous weather and pay your dues, that you should really reach a point where you never have to do that again?
Right. I think Kara's there.
I am there. I've definitely like, or even the point where like getting fish. Like if I go out and I catch a fish, and then I'm like, I'm good. Looks like you're gonna pass out down there.
Ryan, the audience is working for Scott. I wonder if we're going to turn it into a drinking game.
I don't know. It could happen. It's Friday. Anything could happen. Well, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here, and then we'll just keep talking. But if you're watching, welcome to MidCurrent Gear Drop Live. We're talking to product designers and brands about their latest fly fishing gear live on the air. I'm Marshall Cutchin, publisher of MidCurrent.
Oh, I was a little too soon there. Sorry to cut you off, Marshall. Hey, I'm Scott Nielsen, MidCurrent's Chief Inspiration Officer. We're really excited to bring you insider access to the latest in fly fishing gear and equipment. So lots of fun stuff to share with you.
So today we're joined by Tripp and her sister, Lynae Axelson, from Damsel Fly Fishing, which is based in Belgrade, Montana. Just a little bit of background on Damsel. They are one of the few brands in fly fishing that realized there was a need for women-specific fly fishing gear several years ago, and they jumped right in and really have come up with a really great product line that serves not only women, also men.
Yeah.
Men too, and dogs.
Yep.
And
children. Yep. All the things.
Well, awesome. Well, so today we're going to talk to you. You're already showcasing the Snood. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes here, but also sun gloves and I guess whatever else Kara and Lynae want to bust out. So, but before we really jump in and start, we want to remind all of you that if you're watching live on Facebook, welcome. Great to have you here. Feel free to comment and add any questions in the chat window. We're going to be answering those as we go on here. And if you're watching a recorded version, welcome. Thanks for checking it out. So let's jump right in. Kara and Lynae. So going to start right off here and go to the hard question. So what is it like working with your sister?
Oh, that is...
I have a good answer.
Anything goes.
But
Fun, first of all.
That's very sweet, Bean.
And then second of all, this is how I see it. So I'm more left brain. and she's more right-brained. And so together we
make
almost make a whole brain. And that's how it works.
You got us beat. We make like a third of a brain.
Yeah. And it's the same third.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kara's really creative and visionary, big lofty goals and great ideas. And then I'm the executor of all those things. So, and then with all that, then we all have.
I was just going to say, it's just a huge blessing to like be able to work with your sister and still be sisters.
Yeah, and still like each other.
Yeah, she's like my best friend and my sister and my business partner and ex-roommate. And I don't know. I think since we do, we're 7 years apart, but we do a lot of very strange twin type. Like we'll buy the same clothes on different days and then show up wearing it at the same time and then argue about who should change.
It's true.
Which I'm like, I'm the oldest, so you should.
You're right.
But but it also makes we're really similar on like how let's for instance patterns. When we're picking out patterns for product, I don't really have to worry about Lynae's judgment.
Yeah, I don't we don't really sign off. Like I'll just order stuff and she's like, "Yep."
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love that." And like if she does call and ask, it's because she's like maybe overwhelmed, like I don't know what to choose. And then we walk through it, but there's never this weird thing where I'm like, "Ugh," like I mean, occasionally because she's an executor, maybe she'll like rush through a project and do it so it gets done. Or like get it started so it like gets done, and then I'll come back in and do like finishing, like, oh, let's make it like that's good, but let's make it, look better. So where I might take too long and not sign off on something because I'm maybe too focused on making it too perfect, and then she'll come in and be like, at some point we need to move forward. So like,
then I bring the cattle prod.
Yeah, she's like, let's get this done. And so, I don't know.
Yeah, we're pretty much just a dream team.
That's awesome. Well, that's really cool that you have that relationship, especially being sisters. I mean, that adds a whole different level and dimension. But that's cool that you guys have a great kind of symbiosis and the yin and yang kind of approach to Damsel. So, well, let's jump in, and I think we want to kind of hear a little bit about the Snood. So we know that's kind of one of the flagship products of Damsel. So what was really the inspiration behind the Snood? How did that come together?
That's all Kara.
So that came. So, well, I mean, Lynae was like, "Hey, what do you have in that squirrel brain of yours?" Direct quote. What kind of things are you thinking upstairs? And I was like, actually, I had just gotten done with a trip in Kamchatka and had a buff, and the buff was just very tight and restrictive, and I kept getting burnt in like the V of my t-shirt, and so I ended up switching out my buff for a handkerchief. And the handkerchief worked pretty good, but it was cotton. And so when it would get wet after like an 18-day exploratory, and you need things to dry out quickly, and of course it's cotton, so it wasn't drying out quickly. But it worked better as far as like I would actually wear it and pull it up on my face, and I wasn't getting burned in my décolletage area. And so, she was like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna just." It's kind of, and I was trying to explain it to her. I'm like, "It's like a buff, but it's not, and it's a handkerchief, but it's not, because we're gonna use like antimicrobial stuff that's quick drying with UPF." And so I came out with 2 sketches, and then Lynae got to work on trying to find somebody who do the pattern making and help with like, getting a list of the product. What would it be? We
just sat down. We actually ended up just sitting down with a sewer for like a couple hours, and she just we're like, "That's almost it. Add this," and we just worked through a prototype till we had it. And then of course you always tweak. We're always like trying to tweak and make it better. But I mean, this what we have on now is the Snood, and the pattern hasn't really changed. There's 3 snaps, so it's somewhat adjustable, elastic. So you can pull it up around your face so you can go rob runs of their steelhead. Yeah.
So here's like the whole system, right? With a buff, you have more coverage, right, over your head. So I'd pull up, but especially with girls, like when you're pulling that on and off your hair all day, that can be, right? It's just like annoying. So you pull it up and you can tuck this in. And if you apply it with
your hat, ultimate disguise.
And sunglasses. Oh.
And who is she?
Nobody knows. So then you have like sun protection, but you have all this airflow. Like you're not all hot.
So your neck, it's not covering the back of your neck, and you have
and then but it's just that air, so your sunglasses aren't sweating. I just hate that.
The buffs, or there's so many different kinds of face masks, right?
Yeah.
Making them, but almost always they tend to like be confining too. They're like tight on your face, right? And if they're not tight on your face, they're not working really, because they're sagging, or you're getting burned around your eyes or something like that.
Yeah.
So who does what's kind of the target, like who does the Snood appeal to? Do you have like kind of a focus for it?
Well, originally, it was definitely women. Because of the cut, like it covers your chest area, your cleavage.
Your chicken skin.
We
are anti-chicken skin.
Yeah.
We want everyone to have beautiful
decolletage.
Decolletage.
Yeah.
Anyways, so women was our focus. That being said, we do have dude Snoods.
Okay.
We just made them bigger. So we just added a couple inches to our pattern because we found that dudes have their necks are like women's hips, all different sizes. And so we sized up to cover more men. And we chose just different patterns. We have some back here. Like camo. That being said, even though they're size bigger, we have women.
I wear my camo Snood all the time, like turkey hunting or when I shot my mule deer, I had like the camo one. But the patterns originally we picked, the sizing was more for women to fit their necks and their faces. And then the patterns we chose were really colorful and fun, so that you could mix and match them with. The idea was to mix and match and coordinate with your sun shirt and then your wading belt. So that was
our second product. So we started with the Snood, just women's Snood, and then the wading belts came next because that just was a natural fit, right? We're sick of just boring black wading belts, and you lose them in the bottom of your like wader bag.
Sure.
You can't see anyone digging around.
Let's be honest. How many times have you gone fishing with your buds and you get home and you're like, well, I just have 3 of the same black wading belts. And then meanwhile, Scott's like, I can't seem to find my wading belt anywhere.
Marshall and I were talking about it like 2 days ago,
where is my belt, Scott?
But then you're like, oh, wait. I don't know very many people that have orange wading belts to match the orange in their Aztec pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Except Marshall, of course.
Except for Marshall.
The best thing, I was at Spay-O-Rama. No, a different spay casting event. But a lot of the dudes ended up buying the hot pink wading belt because they were like, they were like, now no one's going to steal this. I walk away with a hot pink wading belt, and I was like, rock on.
But actually, how many husbands buy Snoods or other gear for their wives, even if their wives don't fish? I would guess probably
actually
a lot, just because our products are multi-sport. It's like I love mountain biking and hiking and like hunting, and I have a Snood on for all of those activities. So
Well, the best example is Lynae's husband, Adam. So he zero interest in fishing, like zero. Like could be like won't even like maybe might do a spinning rod, but
he would like to do a spinning rod. I'm finally like, oh, okay, we can work with that. But so I was like, we made the Snoods and then we made the line Snoods. So we have a version of this product that's lined with Polartec fleece. So this is just a polyester peak, like a sport lycra. The lined ones are that sport lycra and then lined with Polartec fleece. So they're perfect for any sort of winter activity, steelhead fishing, snowmobiling, skiing. And that's what got my husband, is because we made the lined version and I gave him a prototype of a Dude Snood line. And he was kind of like, I could tell he was like humoring me. Like, oh, cool, thanks. Like, awesome, thanks, I'll wear this.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah. And then he did start to wear it because what did it do in Montana? It started dumping snow and was freezing. And I knew that he was a convert the day he went out to shovel the driveway. And then suddenly I hear him yelling, like, Lynae, Lynae. I was like, what? No, I was actually like, yes. I was like, what? What do you want? What do you want? And he was like, I need my Snood. And I was like,
There you go.
lit like in the winter. I mean, it is on.
So I literally, the fleece line Snood, whether it's like Lynae said, shoveling the driveway or dog walks in Montana, or even just guiding in South America, can be really windy and cold. And so if like I will literally like notice like my neck, I'm like, where's my Snood? Like I like you don't even want to walk out the door without your Snood on. And so we call it being Snood dependent. Like it's like one of those things that you just, as soon as you walk out the door, if you forgot it, you immediately like you want to like turn around, drive back, and make sure you have Snood on.
You're like phone, wallet, keys, Snood.
Yeah. In fact, we should talk to Adam Sandler. Have you guys seen that comedy skit he does about wallet, keys,
phone, wallet, keys?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's like phone, wallet, keys, and then he keeps adding all you need. Yeah. So we should have
next MidCurrent live.
Keys, Snood.
Yeah. We'll wrap it for everyone.
I see a music video in the making here. I like it. I like it. So the Snood. So how'd you come up with the name? Is that?
Oh yeah, that's a good story too. I was actually I was on the Upper Madison teaching a women's school, and on the third day we do a float. And so I had the gal in the back of the boat, and I'd pulled over because she had this awesome bird's nest for me to like work on, and the split shot and the flies and the whole 9 yards tangled up. So I'm like fixing her knots, fixing her mess, and she's sitting in the back, and she's like, "What's that Snood thing you got that you're wearing?" I'm like, "Who are you calling a Snood, lady?" She's like, "You." She's like, "What you're wearing?" She's like, "It's called a Snood." I'm like, "I have never in my life heard that word." What? She's like, "It's in the dictionary." And I was like, #prove it. So she like gets on the phone, and there's never any service there. I have no idea. I should have asked her who her carrier was, because I never have service. She gets on the internet, and she's like, reads me straight off like Wikipedia. She's like, Snood. And she's like, can be worn like a claw around your neck or over your head and hair. And I was like, wow, I just have never heard that. She's like, yeah, it's an old like English word. I was like, well, it's kind of funny. It reminds me of Dr. Seuss or something like that. And so, we just kept, that day in the boat, just kept making jokes about like fishing in the Snood and all the things you could do in the Snood. And I get home, and I'm like, hey, Lynae, I think we have a new name, because we were just calling it like the
fly fishing bandana,
the buff handkerchief doohickey thing.
Scarf.
The scarf that's not a scarf.
It didn't fit on a hang tag.
Yeah, it didn't fit. Yeah.
So you guys have an interesting story to tell too about where you make these, right? These aren't just like made in South Korea or China and put on a container and shipped over. Tell us what happens when you want to get some more Snoods.
Well, so Lynae and I, this is our Damsel is basically, I mean, it's not even a startup. It's a startup. I mean, we didn't even have any money to start up. like zero. So, I mean, we had like maybe a little bit of startup money, but so when you have no money, you have to be really creative. And so we took what little money we did have, and we just had everything sourced here in the United States, because to get anything made overseas, you're looking at sitting on 2,000 of like one thing. Well, what if that 2,000, when you don't have the product or like numbers to push it, or nobody even knows your brand, like nobody knows who you are. How are you supposed to sell 2,000 of something if you don't even know the market's ready for it or wants it? Or so we just ordered what we needed and like, just paid out of pocket what we had to like get the product design going.
And we found, I did a Craigslist ad for sewers, local sewers. And luckily here in Bozeman, it's a big outdoor community, and there's a lot of companies like Sims and Sitka that are based out of here, and a lot of talented seamstresses. So I heard back from a couple, and they did our initial, 2 women in particular did our initial designs in sewing, and then they kind of got busy, so I did another Craigslist ad and found another sewer who's still with us today. Her name is Laura, and she's amazing. She lives like a half mile down the road from me, so I'll drop off material to her, and then a couple days later I'll wake up and go to my front door, and she'll have like a little bag of Snoods hanging. I call her my sewing fairy, because I'll just like wake up to like a bag of Snoods on her front step that she sewed that night. And she's the one that we run all of our new designs as far as the last couple of years. She's the one that's helped us pattern them, prototype them. For our Sola sun gloves, we literally sat one Saturday, and she'd make a prototype, and we'd be like, let's tweak this, and she'd make another one. We just busted it out. And then we have another sewer in Red Lodge, Montana, named Marcia, who does our big orders for us.
So Marcia's interesting because she does a cut and sew out of Red Lodge. So she actually has other like women that work on ranches in that rural community that sew like for her.
Yeah.
So that's where when we get bigger orders, she's our initial contact. And we'll teach her, like Laura will teach her how to, like, our Sola sun gloves are kind of technical, the way we do the banding around our fingers and our thumb. And so, like Laura, all of us got together, and Laura taught her how to do it with a binding machine. And then Marcia goes home, practices how to get that done, and then teaches the ladies that she sources out to do those larger orders. So, right now with COVID and everyone having their gear locked up in overseas, like we don't have that problem. Everything's made here in Montana, sewn and put together.
And for the most part, almost all of our material is sourced in the U.S. So we haven't had too many delays as far as getting material for our Snoods, because it's all right here.
That's awesome.
Those are made by Steve in Bozeman.
Yeah, Steve in Bozeman. Yeah. He orders the
he makes all of our little labels, and our hang tags are made by I
love Doreen
in Livingston.
Snood.
Printing for Less in Livingston. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah, so it really is really like a local, like Lynae said, Printing for Less in Livingston is the one that does our tags. And
so what if somebody wanted to do like a custom print? Is there any options for that for the staff?
Yeah, we have a gal that will do custom like artwork for you,
or you can just send us the artwork and we can get it printed on the material needed to make these, or your sunglasses.
Right. So like let's say you have your own outfitting business and you want face masks for your clients for the upcoming guide season, you could send us your logo, and they would just like repeat it a bunch of times, and then have with your own brand on the Snood and face mask ready for COVID guide season.
Got it. That's awesome. So you mentioned, you hit on it a little bit. I know we've talked about the Snood a bunch, but the sun gloves. What can you tell us about that?
Well, do you want? We have nicer ones, but these are the ones I guided all season in South America.
Tried and true.
And they're super gross, but I love them.
Here's a before and after.
Yeah, this is how they look when you order them.
They're nice and shiny when you order them. Wait, there's the camera.
So the new ones and the used ones, how long have you been using those? Like
so my used ones they did
3 months.
3.5 straight months every day.
Okay. So what do they look like? What how do they fit? What is the okay.
Okay, so here's the best part.
Make sure it's in the camera.
Gotta move it around. Here's the best part. This is called binding. So it's all one material. There's only thread and our UPF sports lycra. And so the binding comes around. It covers your thumb knuckle so you don't get brown thumb. And then it comes around onto your pointer finger and then your pinky finger. And then the open palm is better for fish handling and for rowing.
Interesting.
So the back of your hands are so completely protected, UPF 50, FDA approved. And we did a longer sleeve because a lot of times your sleeves scrunch up when you're rowing.
Sure.
And then it's getting like burned here. So we just added a little length to it to just help with that.
And what's the sun protection level on those?
50.
50. Okay, gotcha. Men's and women's?
So it's a unit. We actually nailed it on the sizing. It was a total. I mean, I don't know how we got so lucky. I just saw something, Googled it, and saw something. I was like, I think that would actually work for what we're doing. So I had Laura first run a sizing based off of that sizing chart, and then when we went to when we were down in Denver where we met you guys, I had men, women, everybody trying them on, and our sizing, like the extra large and large for men, fits. I mean, the biggest dudes can wear our extra large.
Yeah. So we have sizing small through extra large, and
Extra
then
small, actually.
well,
the extra
limited edition. Extra small. We need extra small. Let us
like
know.
if you're really tiny.
We have it patterned out, but we're not really like making up. And then there's right now just 2 patterns. So there's a fish scale pattern.
Okay.
And then this gray pattern is generally what the guys order. So
Although when I was in South America, I took a whole rundown, and the guys were like, "We like these little, like the dudes were buying these ones too. They didn't care. Guys don't care.
I don't know.
They're like, oh, my hand. They're like, I just had all this cancer burned off the back of my hands. I'm like,
here, try this.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I've actually I'm a stickler when it comes to fish handling. Like, I want you to have your hands wet, and I will make my clients. It could be like negative. It could be 32 degrees out, and I've had this happen. I was actually with Trout Unlimited donors on the Yellowstone. It's like October. It's freezing cold out, and I'm like, I've been rowing all day, right? Like trying to keep my hands warm, and we get really close to the takeout, and there's this like BWO hatch coming off that is like prolific, and the fish are all slid over into really slow slack water, just eating like everything. So I'm like, obviously, like I want to fish it, but I can't. I have clients, but I do want to see at least somebody like stab a few of these fish in the face. So I pull over, and we're over there, and the guy finally like remembers his dry fly hook set and like gets a couple of these rainbows in. And one's about a 20-inch rainbow, and we slide it over, get in the net, and he starts to reach in, and he's got fleece gloves on, with like it's full on fleece, and they're dry. He reaches into the net to pick up this beautiful fish,
and Karen beat him over the head with an oar.
I did not beat him with an oar, but I did lower the net and drag the fish back, and I'm like, "What do you think you're about to do?" Looks at me, and I'm like, I go, I have been rowing in this cold. My hands are freezing. I just got my hands wet, and the freezing cold water get this hook out. So you can get a picture of the fish, and you're going to leave your fleece gloves on, and you work, and you donate to Trout Unlimited. He was like, you're right. I'm like, keep your gloves off or we're going home.
That's
And
great.
then I want you to write 50 times, I will not wear gloves.
I
when
mean,
handling
come on.
fish.
So anyways, it's important to have wet hands and take your
So that was a
gloves
big
off.
part of designing these was open palm, so you don't have to worry about taking your gloves off and on because that's annoying and time consuming. You can just go right in, grab
Well,
that fish.
That's cool. What your product, as opposed to some of the the other gloves out on the market. I mean, they're true gloves. They may be slightly have a fingerless kind of fit to them or whatever. But having that open palm where you can, you're not going to damage the fish, and you're going to be able to just, have your hand on the fish, and that's really cool. So
I mean, I think like the fact that I have spent most of my life on the water. And then also like, my old self, I was an art major. So I've got like the design creative brain, but then I'm also out on the water thinking about things that I wish I had for myself. So that's like just, how many companies, there are a few, but actually coming up and seeing the design problem and like really wishing I had something different. And then instead of just sitting on the ideas, like I say them out loud to Lynae and she's like, let's do this.
So on that topic, you guys were inspired to do this because you were looking around when you were looking for gear and you didn't see much on the market for women, right?
Yeah, for women, it's even functional stuff that I would want to wear that like isn't uncomfortable or is, makes my job easier.
So talk about that a little bit, how women's needs as far as apparel and gear are different than men's, because I'm not sure.
Well, a lot of it is sizing. Sizing is a huge thing. Fit. Mm-hmm. So like the sun gloves, a lot of the sun gloves that are on the market, you're wearing, you get like a size small, and that fits me. I'm not a size small female. I'm like a medium to large. So what are the women doing that are tiny? Like a lot of my clients, like I'm 5'7", like, but a lot of women are 5'4", 5'2". They're tiny and they can't wear those sun gloves that are out on the market. There's nothing small enough for them. So there's that. And then the other part is a lot of the gear that is in the fishing market, especially, doesn't have a lot of like, what would it be like?
Trying to be PC.
There's not enough bling. It's all just the same. It's like the same black wading belt.
It's
the same
boring.
gray. It's boring. There's just like, there's no way to like show your own personal, to be an individual out on the water because everything just looks the same. It's all the same waders. It's all the same boots. It's all
looks like a uniform. It looks like a uniform, right?
Yeah, it's a uniform, and everyone's got the same thing. So there's no way to like show somebody like, hey, I'm a unique individual out here. And so I think, by Lynae and I having more of like a boutique-y brand, we're able, and we're not sitting on 2,000 of anything. Like we sell 20 and then we order 40. And then we can like, because we have such like low numbers, when something sells out, we can discontinue that make and model or whatever, not necessarily, but maybe that pattern and switch out the colors and keep our line super fresh without.
Yeah. When I start getting bored, then I just pick another pattern and we'll make just 8 of them.
Like Lynae found a pattern for unicorn. Like people love unicorns. So we'll get a new unicorn pattern out and those sell out so fast. And then as like, there's like maybe only 50 of them made. And you're like, wow, I'm only one of 50. It's like getting a limited edition print. It is. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, everything you're making you're selling is handmade too, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's not stamped out by a machine somewhere. And,
no, it's all
hand cut.
And we tell, you can't get too creative with the pattern, right? But I tell our sewers, I'm like, you pick whatever thread color you think will go good with this pattern, and then the snaps, we have like, I don't know, like 15 different color of snaps. So I'm like, you just pick what snaps you think go with the pattern. Like, I'm not going to micromanage. So you're not going to get a Snood. Like, no Snood looks the same.
In those regards, right?
Yeah. Like, they're small things, but it's like not going to micromanage the sewers on my.
Like, is it gonna make or break whether like you buy the Aztec Snood you get might have like white snaps
Or green.
and the one that you got for your best friend might have green.
Yeah.
So I don't know if McDonald's would like our quality control and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I think it makes it fun.
So we've got a quick question from somebody on Facebook. So Kyle wants to know if you can give us any hints as to any new products in development.
I actually have. I want to do a lanyard for like my nippers and my hemos. I had one gifted to me in my early guide years, and the problem is it's all hand braided, which means I need about 25 Girl Scouts.
Someone get us 25 Girl Scouts and we can get these lanyards done.
But it's such a beautiful, and it's leather, so it would tie in with like, the leather details we have on our labels. And every time I have it, people ask, when I wear it, people ask like, where'd you get that? I'm like, well, it was handmade, but it's a beautiful piece. And when I don't do lanyards, I don't do the ones with like all the stuff, because it's like I don't really need anything more on my chest. Well, maybe, but not tip it.
So yeah, a lanyard. We've been kicking around that and have ideas for that. And then we did work on a fly wallet a couple years ago, and we have prototypes done and patterned out. We are just looking for someone right now to manufacture those, because our local manufacturing kind of fell apart. So those are two.
I would say that's like the hardest thing is you developing manufacturing relationships and then making sure that manufacturer can continue to produce or be around to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So,
Kyle.
Similar question from Carrie is, are you thinking about expanding to sun sleeves too, not just gloves or sleeves?
I saw that.
Yeah, that would be great. And such an easy transition for us to do the sleeves. So she's talking about like the short sleeves, and then you have the sleeves that come up, like almost compression sleeves.
Yeah, I think they're kind of the long compression sleeves.
You see like runners wear them.
I would actually do need those compression sleeves to be made. Thank you, Carrie.
It's a really good idea.
Because
I've never thought of it.
My tennis elbow, wouldn't it be nice to have a compression sleeve when you get your tennis elbow from rowing, like 60 days straight?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice. Not just a sun sleeve, but a compression sleeve, because they're so ugly. Oh, that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
Carrie, you're onto something.
Carrie's onto it.
We have thought about doing, taking our sun glove design and integrating it into a sun shirt. So you could so it's part of the sleeve system, It would just be would just be already integrated into your sleeve.
I don't know. We have so many ideas. There's no lack of ideas. It's just like
more lack
executing
of maybe funding.
Yeah.
So that we can, one project has to pay for itself before we start the next.
Sure. So another question from more of a comment from Scott is, it says, I know it's off topic, but are you fishing currently? Obviously you're not right now, but you guys getting out in the water? How's the fishing around you?
Oh, can you just ask that one more time and cut out for just a second?
Yeah. So Scott on Facebook, it says, I know it's off topic, but are you fishing currently?
Oh, yeah. We went out on Wednesday.
It was beautiful.
It was so beautiful.
And we were so proud because we got fish on nymphing, streamers, and on dries. So we were we did the trifecta.
Yeah, it was like our version of Trout Grand Slam.
Yeah, we did actually.
Nice. And for those who may not have heard earlier, where are you guys out of? Where is Damsel out of?
So we're based out of Belgrade, Montana, which is the little bedroom community outside of Bozeman, Montana. So we're in the epicenter of Southwest Montana. one of our favorite places to go fish is right where Brad Pitt took his famous swim on the Gallatin River, and river runs through it.
Yeah, that's like
we call it
30-minute drive.
When we go over there, we call it Brad's Rock.
Nice. Have you ever reenacted it all? Can I float down?
Yeah, I'm always like, oh, let me get my smokes under my hat. That's good.
So, what about the future of Damsel? You talked about new products. Are you guys really thinking, despite the fact that you may not have all the capital you want or whatever, that you're going to like move in a different direction? You're going to keep guiding? Is that guiding?
Yeah.
Guiding is an important part of your product development?
Yes. Yeah. I would say, so even though our products obviously can be used for like snowmobiling to riding your Harley or whatever outdoor activity you want to do, but the fly fishing is the vehicle for me that allows the creative process. So guiding is also what puts more money in my pocket, right? And then it fuses that idea of like an experience, a very emotional experience, to the product, which I think is really, really important and keeps it authentic. So in June of last year, I got my outfitter's license for the state of Montana, which is a big deal. It's expensive and the test is really hard. And yeah, so I'm able to grow that, everything from fishing schools for women and men, children,
rowing schools.
Yep. That was actually super successful. I did a post on learning to row and had a lot of local people contact me who are just looking for, build confidence and be smart out on the water. So anytime you have that guiding, right? Especially on the way to the boat ramp, that's an hour and a half to the boat ramp where I just put my product in the back seat and they just shop. So you get your experience on the water with the product line. I think that's really special.
Yeah, and then it's not only that's a memento. Of their trip, their great trip with Kara.
Lynae doesn't want to guide yet.
Do you have like a like built-in TV? The headrest monitors. We could put like a little presentation up and.
They brought this up. I'm like, that is so smart.
Actually now her hamster is like going so fast right now.
Just like full Damsel propaganda, watching fishing videos.
Pull down the screen and get a
Damsel worldwide.
So we have another question from David Powell Allen. When can we fish in Montana?
David, come out as soon as runoff is over.
Yeah.
Like
after the 14-day restriction too.
Yeah. So when you come out, David, you have to do 14 days of quarantine in Montana. And then after that, so you're gonna have to stay for 28 days.
Yeah. You can stay 28 days.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see David. David and I fished in South America together. He was one of my guides or clients, I mean.
Well, we're Scott. You got any more questions, or are you out there?
I've got one more. So I know if you're riding in the back of your vehicle, you can buy Damsel products there. Where else? Online stores? You guys in retail at all?
Yeah, we're at www.damselflyfishing.com.
Think about that.
I had to make sure
websites are really tricky.
All the W's.
I counted 5, but yeah.
I was never very good at math.
Damselflyfishing.com. And then we are in wholesale locations. You can check on our website under stockists, where if there's a shop near you. If there is no shops near you, then maybe you can go pester your local fly shop.
Yeah, send a note to your local fly shop for us to send them a whole sheet order. Yeah. Wholesale sheet. Wholesale sheet.
Say that 10 times.
Oh man.
Okay, I think we might have time for one fishing story.
One fishing story?
Oh, no.
Do you guys have a favorite?
Well, we already know about a couple of your fishing stories. We might want to skip past those and go going something new.
Did you hear of any of our Russia trips? Any Russian stories?
Oh man, I really should be writing these down. Why can't I think of a good one right now?
Have you flown in an old decrepit Russian helicopter?
Oh my god, I love them.
That's how she wants to die.
I know. I tell Lynae every time, I'm like, hey, I'm going to Russia. If I die over there, as long as it's at the end of the fishing trip, you can't be upset. Just know that I died the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
Fishing is that good.
Where's your favorite place to fish in Russia?
That's really tough, but I think I have a favorite system. So I like to do the first week wilderness exploratory, some tributary of the Sadanka, because it's just that area is so remote, and those fish, first of all, they're all native, right? Like rainbows here are not native. The fish in Kamchatka, everything that belongs there is supposed to be there. And so you're fishing for these fish that don't even know they're being hunted. I mean, it's as good as the day God made it. And so you just get to see how good would the fishing be in Southwest Montana if we had only one person every 1,200 square miles. How good could it be? And then you get to go there and see wow, it's really
good.
It's really good.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. It's really good. And it's beautiful. And then you get to ride around in a MIA helicopter out in the middle of nowhere, and that is just
held together by duct tape.
No, there is no duct tape. I haven't seen any.
That's because you're too
But
busy looking out the window.
they do always ask if I have extra duct tape that I can review. But no.
Wants masks, they want duct tape.
Yeah, those MI8s are so impressive. One of the coolest things, we were on so I like to do the wilderness trip first, and then I always like to head over to the Japanova River because that's where you get your size. That's where my size queen self comes out. I'm like, let's get numbers on the first week, just numbers, and then you go to the Japanova and you get size. So, anyways, so we're on the Japanova, and this is at the end of the week, and we stop at a lodge, Zenzer Lodge. And we're the MI8 has everybody get out, and they're like, we have one project we need to get done, So they're
fix the propellers.
no, they land and make everybody get out, and they needed to carry a tractor, basically a mini excavator, up the river 20 clicks, and drop it off at a different lodge. And I watched this MI8 just hover perfect over the top of this giant excavator, and they dropped the chains and everything down and just strapped that piece of equipment, and then he just lifted it off and just flew upstream with a giant tractor hanging below an MI8 helicopter. And that was when I was like, that is one hell of a workhorse. And I want one. And that's what I like for if I make it to 50, I just want all of my friends in an MI8 and just fly around for 50th.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to ask you one last question. Sorry, Scott. Is there anything else on your list?
I went through my whole list. So.
Okay, all right. Real question, and 30 seconds to answer.
Yes, I'm single.
Coming to fish.
Yes, I'm married.
Coming to Montana to fish in the middle of July.
Perfect.
And I'm assuming that I can fish in Montana without doing your 28-day quarantine. But
yeah, I think hopefully it looks by then.
What five flies should I tie? I know I'm going to buy some flies at a fly shop there because there's going to be stuff going off that right. I didn't predict, right?
So the number one, if it's in that mid-July, Spruce Moth. You know about the Spruce Moth? Do you guys have that?
Tell us really quickly.
Spruce Moth, it's a little parasitic moth that eats all the little green buds off of trees. So the Forest Service likes to, or whatever, they like to spray for them because they'll kill the trees. But occasionally they skip a couple of years and the spruce moth come off and they look like giant caddis. And the trout absolutely absolutely lose
them.
their minds, like reckless.
Yeah, they're drunk.
They're just I mean, that spruce moth must just be like cocaine or something to them. Like, they love it. And so anywhere where there's lots of spruce type trees, you're going to find a lot of spruce moths. So the Gallatin, it can be some of the best like dry fly fishing. Certain areas of the Madison where you have more of like spruce type trees around it can be really good. So that's probably like, that's like kind of our,
that's like a local hatch.
Secret hatch.
Yeah. Okay. You got 4 more.
So the spruce moth. So there's one called, I can't remember the name of the actual pattern. I think it's called like a flathead moth or something like that. It's good. Bloom's caddis works for that. The Bloom's caddis. I do love the sound of those Russian helicopters. So I would have to, yes, David, the sound.
That's what she falls asleep to at night.
And my helicopter blades and the sound of my click and pull spay reel when a steelhead hits it. Those are the 2 sexiest sounds in the world. Okay, so how many more flies?
You said 2.
So a serendipity nymph for that walkway section up by Kelly Gallup's. Those are really important. Yep, the little green machine. Bean calls them whisker biscuits. That's like a mayfly pattern that you shouldn't come to Montana without. Let's see, dry fly. I love, so salmon fly season is that Henry's Fork salmon fly and the Henry's Fork golden stone. Those two, because that golden stone hatch lasts longer. And then you got your salmon fly, but those are like my 2 favorite dries for those bigger bugs.
Great.
That was a good.
That's a good list. That's a good list.
Marshall.
Yeah. What's that?
Were you writing those down, Marshall?
I was.
then, like,
Well, I've got
don't
them recorded, so I don't need to write them down. But
That's right.
Pat's rubber legs. I just want every Pat's rubber legs in every color and size. And,
right.
but that's not really that's everybody should know that one. Don't leave home without it. And then if that doesn't work, San Juan worms and eggs. No.
So, Kara and Lynae, thank you both so much for your time today. Is there anything else you want to add before we end the show?
No, just I hope everybody enjoyed our session today, our gear drop live, and
Our first
join
live.
us on first live. Join us on Facebook. You can like us on Instagram.
Damsel fly fishing.
Feel free to drop us a line. You can email us at Kara, Kara @damselflyfishing.com. And
we just hope everyone's staying safe
healthy
and sane, most importantly, probably. And hopefully you are living in a spot that you can get out to the local rivers.
if you need a face mask for COVID, the Snoods are really way cooler than any other mask.
I like the Snood because unlike like a mask, you'll probably keep wearing it after COVID. Yeah, you can wear it fishing or to the grocery store.
Love it. Well, Kara, Lynae, again, thank you guys so much. Thanks for sharing about Damsel, and love the product line. Really great stuff. Again, check it out on damselflyfishing.com. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks for all the great comments. We're going to be doing MidCurrent's Gear Drop live every week, so make sure that you tune in and check it out. And we're going to be sharing some awesome, exciting gear with you coming up, and I think it's going to be fun and exciting and really worth your attention. So,
yeah. So until next week, try to find some quiet water somewhere where you can go fishing or get care.
And if you can't go fishing, you can always go casting. Practice your casting.
this is true.
If you're fishing and you see an MI8 helicopter laying nearby, run as fast as you can and jump on. It's a great ride.
She's coming. She's coming for you.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. Appreciate your time, and again, love the line what you guys are doing with Damsel, and don't forget this: happiness is a wet fly line.
That is
right.
true.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Marshall.
Thank you.
that.
See you next time.
Ciao. Stay healthy.